One of the effects of COVID-19 has been the introduction of new words and concepts into our daily lives and imaginations. Social distancing, flattening the curve, and of course, COVID itself. As we come out of the pandemic, we will need to become more familiar with many other new terms and concepts: prosperity, nature-based solutions, natural capital accounting, and systemic risks. Such terms are not entirely new, but to date they have not been a feature of day-to-day conversations. However, public discussions and the language of democratic demands will need to incorporate them, and no doubt others not yet invented, if we are to steer our societies and economies along pathways towards sustainable prosperity. Language shifts move life along, and as we emerge from the limbo of lockdown, we find a world that is changed and requires new descriptors. It is plainly evident that the COVID crisis is not just a health crisis, but a cascading set of failures that have snapped all the links in a series of weak chains, or rather overwhelmed the intersection points across a set of interconnected systems, including finance, transport, and employment. Modern life is made up of many complex systems, and their fragility in the face of COVID is a result of our management of those systems. The model for how we manage the environment, health, education, and transport has for the last 40 years and more rested on the twin goals of productivity and efficiency, how we can get more out of our systems at the least cost to ourselves. The result is systems that are thin, narrow, and brittle. Where this has had perhaps the greatest but unrecognised consequence is on the natural systems that sustain us. The UK Treasury's Dasgupta review on the economics of biodiversity published its interim report recently. It sets out compelling reasons why we need to live within the safe operating parameters of the biosphere, a complex system that has been degrading exponentially as a result of our extractive economic systems. Currently, around 1 million plant and animal species are threatened with extinction, but the risk is not just to individual species, but to everything that is connected to them. Consequently, the biggest risk to us all is not just loss, but destabilization, where a degraded system causes a cascade of failures across many systems. Just as the UK healthcare system, whitened to the bones through austerity, had no capacity to manage the extra pressure of the COVID shock, not enough nurses or beds or protective equipment, with the consequence that cascading failures have ripped through hospitality, leisure, aviation, school education, and universities, sectors we once thought robust, and the cost in human and economic terms has been immense. How we treat our planet has an important role in the emergence and spread of infectious diseases. 75% of new and emerging diseases that affect humans originate in animals. Deforestation and land conversion through mining, farming, and urbanization are driving animals out of their natural habitats into human-made environments. Human activities act as amplification loops, and food consumption patterns and agricultural intensification play a key role. Urgent action is needed to prevent biodiversity loss and environmental degradation tipping over and cascading future systemic failures. Investing in quality of life and human health means investing in well-functioning environments that create resilience in the face of future shocks. To do this, we need a more comprehensive approach to natural capital accounting and nature-based solutions. In other words, we need to focus on how investing in nature and accounting for its well-being creates social and economic value. The public sector, business and communities could have shared responsibility for the management, restoration and use of local environmental assets. National governments and local authorities should monitor the impact of investments, policies and decisions on all natural assets. Such assets need to be regenerated and renewed at the local level by the businesses and communities for whom these assets provide the daily essentials for life, employment, and personal and social well-being. Protection, upkeep, regeneration, and enhancement should form the basis for regional programs designed to create decent jobs. Those hardest hit by the COVID crisis have been lower-waged workers, the self-employed, and micro-businesses in hospitality, tourism, leisure, agriculture, and the food supply chain. The future of these jobs and businesses will depend on investment in local areas, in rural conservation and land management, in the production of local food, drink, arts and craft, the maintenance of landscapes, rivers, flora and fauna. Long-term livability and employment in rural areas around the world will depend on moving to economies that regenerate and enhance natural and cultural assets, improving quality of life and planetary health while providing decent jobs. Regenerating the natural systems of the planet is not a matter of fixing climate change or biodiversity loss, but rather of working to regenerate those systems so that they create future sustainable value for our social and economic systems. Putting the regeneration of our natural systems and quality of life for all at the core of our economic system would be a game changer. For one thing, it would move us from a reactive response to shocks like COVID towards an anticipatory and preventive approach. Ultimately, the enhancement of human and planetary health will create cascading sets of positive values and outcomes, making all the systems on which we depend stronger and more resilient.